Good evening, brothers. How you guys doing? Welcome to the Thursday night hobby hangout. Good afternoon, I guess, if it is afternoon for you. But good evening, the end, Adrian, Smithy, Crimson Jacket. Good evening, Toasty Devil. How you guys? Everybody is doing. Hope you're well tonight. I am gonna try and get cracking on these Terminators. They have been on this painting table for way too long. Last time I was doing some non-oil washes. Tonight I'm going to be doing Agrax Earthshade, and I'm going to be starting by trying to basically panel line the Terminators with Agrax Earthshade. This is probably going to be a messy step, but I'll go ahead and clean it up afterwards. So might not look great when I'm doing it, but it'll look good once I'm done. And yeah, I did get your message, Toasty Devil, about your army lists submitted earlier. I'm just actually sitting down at the computer a few minutes ago, but the way I like to do it is when people submit army lists, I don't reply to their post until I'm at my computer and I pull their army list or I copy it from the post into my document where I keep all the lists. So that basically means I saw your comment it must have been yesterday, but if I'm on my phone I can't do that. So yeah, I did get your comment. I am going to address. I'm gonna add you, and I think the queue time for members, Toasty Devil, is just a couple of weeks at the moment. I don't think I'll be able to get you this Sunday or next Sunday, but I'll be able to get you the week after. So the queue time for members and army list show is down quite a bit at the moment. Welcome back to episode 17 of John Paints Terminator, says James. It's pretty fucking accurate. I'll give you that. We have been doing these Terminators for what seems like forever. I actually kind of wanted to do it last year, but with having another baby and stuff, I never had time. But what I plan to do this year, and I hope I can do it this year, is right as I start talking, I'm going to try and do some panel lining. Hold on. I kept this one Sangre Guard. I didn't spray him. So I was going to spray him gold. And I was going to... Oh, and he's magnetized. I forgot he was even magnetized. Okay, his arm's magnetized as well. Cool. That'll make painting his wings a little bit easier. I think there's only one that's magnetized, but fine. My plan was to spray this guy and do a battle-ready painting video on Sangre Guard. My problem is... Oh, let me throw on some music. My problem is I'm always doing batch paints. I'm always doing big batch paints, I feel like. So, if I'm always doing big batch paints, it's hard to condense them into video. So I kept one out of my last set of Sangre Guard purposely. So this is going to be the one that I use and spray and try and paint him in a day basically, and film it and make it into a high production quality painting video on how I do battle ready Sangre Guard, because I've got a few hacks when I'm painting Sangre Guard. So that was my plan. Says Dex says it's been 84 years since I've been painting these Terminators. Fuck off. What is that? I thought you're my friend, Dex. Good evening, Marcus. How you doing? Good evening, Ave. First time tuning in, says Pappy J Local. Well, thank you for being here, Pappy. We do a bit of everything on this channel. We do live battles. I was going to say battle reports. They're live battles now. We don't really do battle reports anymore. We might at some point, but at the moment we do live battles every Monday. We do painting Thursdays and Saturdays. And then on Fridays, we always put out a tactics stream. And on Sundays, it's actually quite a lot of things. We actually do quite a lot of content on this channel. On Sundays, we do the army list show where we look at community submitted army lists and try and give advice on how to make them better, etc., etc. So, my day job actually bought me a new laptop for work, and it's one of these fancy laptops that has two screens. So it's got a screen built into the top part of the keyboard. It's pretty cool. So I bought that for my day job, by my boss at my day job. So I've been using that laptop of an evening, sitting at home on the couch, because normally of an evening I can't if I'm sitting downstairs with the kids, I can't work on anything for the channel, so I've been using that laptop this last couple of weeks to, try and make a few extra slides, try and get a little bit more content ready. So I'm hoping in the weeks to come, if I can do that more often, a little bit more content out. But that's what we do, and thanks for tuning in. Good evening. Did you try using gloss varnishes before doing recess wash? Seems to be less messy to clean afterwards. I've never really done gloss varnishes, EXO. I'm really a battle-ready painter. I always have been. I guess I probably always will be, because I think I want stuff to match. Some people play the hobby just to do the battles. Some people, I guess, just want to paint. I guess with me, I'm kind of like somebody that likes a bit of both. Like, I enjoy painting, but I feel like I'm not very good at it. When I play against my friends, they always make nice comments about the models. So, I mean, it's nice, but I never know if it's just like, hey, you look like you spent a lot of time on it. I wouldn't say painting is my forte in the hobby at all. I guess I've got a lot better. Like, my accuracy and stuff has got a lot better, but I ordered that wet palette off Kickstarter like a year ago at this point, so at some point we will get a wet palette. Maybe that'll help me be a little bit of a better painter as well. But no, I've never tried gloss varnishes before recess washing. These Terminators are actually going to be pretty difficult to recess wash, I guess. Like, they have a lot of edges, and I'm definitely going to have to go back with, like, the way I do this is, because I don't do edge highlighting on the red, the way I tend to do this is try and recess wash everything, and then like touch up any areas that got too darkened with the Evil Sun Scarlet, which is what I use. So it gives sort of like a weathered Evil Sun Scarlet look, I guess. Burgosaurus says, looking good, Blind Angels Commander. I appreciate that, Burgosaurus. And if any of you guys are working on Hobby tonight, because Thursday night is the night to work on Hobby, let me know in the chat what you're working on. We'll call it out. And if there's any Blood Angels questions, as always, just fire them into the chat. I'll see if I can read them. I try and read a good amount of chat on the streams, but sometimes I do miss something. So if you ask a question and I don't answer it, if I don't answer it in 5 minutes, because sometimes the chat gets away from me. If I don't answer it in like 5 minutes and you really want an answer, just ask it again and I'll try and get to it. Toasty Devil just bought a Whirlwind, but I gotta say, painting it is a slog. Whirlwind's a fun model to paint, Toasty. How are you gonna do the missiles? I did like the missiles like white, and then did like the nose tips of them like orange. I think I used Fire Dragon. I think it's called Fire Dragon Blight. It's pretty cool orange. You've got nothing to paint, unfortunately. Oh, I'm sorry, Pappy. Well, I mean, hopefully one day you get something. Are you new to the hobby? What's your goals this year? Good evening, Daniel. Nice to catch up. I see you in a lot of my comments every week. I do appreciate it. It's always nice to know that the videos are getting feedback and stuff. And some of you guys that are members of the channel, you know that there's a Discord. Well, I'm sure you know that we have a Blood Angels Discord. The link's in the video description. But there is a room for members only. And some of you guys who are members, I see you in the members room all the time. Some of you guys I see in the members room never. So, I mean, there's no pressure to come into the members room. But if you don't know about it, and you want to just sometimes come in and hang out in the members room, you're very welcome to do that. And thank you so much for being a member. I know I say that a lot, but I do really actually appreciate it. James said I did a little bit earlier, customized an Indomitus Chaplain to be a bit more Blood Angels centric. Nice. I actually cut my Indomitus Chaplain in half and stuck him on an Outrider because I like the Chaplain on the bike and I didn't want to pay. I think the Chaplain on the bike's like $30. It's quite expensive. Some of the characters are getting quite expensive nowadays, right? So like sometimes if you're looking for a way to do those things cheaper, you can find ways. But how are you making them more Blood Angels? What are you doing? I just opened my Blood Angels Combat Patrol box. Any advice on weapon options? Yes, I think so. I have 6 bolter aggressors, dude, and I never, ever field them. I think the flamers on the bolter on the aggressors are going to be way stronger. I think I think making them bolters was an 8th edition thing. The bolters were good last edition, and now I think flamers are much stronger. I mean, who knows if it'll swing back the other way? But if you had a doubt, if you weren't sure with the aggressor, from the combat patrol, I would definitely be building them with flamers, because it gives you like that sort of charge defense, and I think that's something the aggressors kind of need, and the bolters really don't do that at all. I also think if you're doing your impulsor that you should either find a way to magnetize the top bit or don't stick it on, so you can swap out like the shield dome and the rocket launcher at your, like, I was going to say at your will, is that the right word? At your discretion, I guess, right? I wouldn't stick on the shield dome or the rocket launcher. I think that's the 2 best options for the impulsor. I have an impulsor, but I haven't used it in a little while. But yeah, I definitely didn't stick either of those options on. They kind of snap on. You don't necessarily have to use magnets. Like, you can just place the shield dome on top, and it kind of works okay. Papa says I'm fairly new, only got 5 or 6 games and about 1k points, still very much learning how best to use the weapons that I have. Nice. Adrian is painting Scarab Occult Terminators. Nice. Thousand Suns. Scarab Occults are brutal at the moment, aren't they? They get some really nice stratagems, I think. I've only played like 1 or 2 games against them in 9th. I think I won 1 and lost 1. And the fact that their Terminators are just like OBSEC and don't fill morale is giant. Like, just makes them so difficult to deal with. Daniel's working on Scouts tonight. Smithy says, I see Tony is on the YouTube chat. Yeah, we got people coming in from both YouTube and Discord tonight. Oh, right. Okay, Daniel. You are XDLGX on Discord. Well, I would have never guessed that. I'm glad you said who you were. In that case, we have been talking on Discord. So, okay, cool. I'm thinking more of metallic brass-colored missiles with greenish tips. Sounds cool, Toasty. I'd love to see it when it's finished. Change the head of the Crozius skull helmet for the Blood Angels Chaplain Firstborn Chapter shoulder guard, says James. Nice. That's one of the things that's probably one of my most favorite things about the modeling part of the hobby, is doing customizations. I mean, if you had to make a customization, would one of the coolest customizations not be if you put, let's say, I don't know, like, what if someone put a Primaris helmet on a Firstborn Terminator? That would be pretty cool, right? Like, you couldn't really think of a better customization than that, could you? I mean, I can't think of one. But I mean, you're welcome to try and chat. What happens in the member room stays in the members room. I mean, it does stay in the members room, because I guess our conversations are not that interesting that anyone needs to share them outside the members room. But yeah, I mean, that's true. What happens in the members room stays in the members room. I'm using spare spears from Custodes for my Sanguinary Guard. They work so well, but I'm wondering, is it legal? So it's only going to be illegal, I guess, if you... It's usually typically only illegal if the models don't typically look like they have the right weapons or equipment, or if you're modeling for advantage. And I guess what I mean by modeling for advantage, right? Sanguinary Guard come with wings, they're a good example. If you just decided to go to a tournament and not put any of your wings on your Sanguinary Guard, you could be seen as modeling for advantages, because you're trying to make them smaller, so it's easier to hide them, right? But if you're actually putting a spear on them that makes them bigger or easier for the enemy to see, then, I mean, I don't think people would have any sort of problem with that. It's definitely not modeling for advantage, and if anything, you can always just clarify what they are to people. These are Sanguinary Guard, and the spears are my swords, and then people aren't really going to have any sort of problem with it, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I went to a tournament where everything's supposed to be WYSIWYG, and it was the end of last year, and some guy was running like Relic Contemptor dreadnoughts, which like on his list were double Volcon dreadnoughts, but like he actually had them with like double assault cannons, and like no one kicked up too much of a fuss. I think it just at the beginning of every game he just went like, these are my Volcon dreadnoughts. I mean, assault cannons aren't a million miles from... If you go to official GW tournament, you probably have a problem. If you're just playing like less high prestigious events, it's probably okay, right? To hit to wound is finishing a Blood Angel's Librarian. Oh, here we go. Oh, wait, here we go, as in my conversion is awesome, right? I don't know. I honestly didn't think it would be so contentious to put a Primaris head on a Terminator. I mean, maybe I should just put that as a YouTube thumbnail and everyone will click on it to be like, what the fuck has this person done? How dare he? How dare he put a Primaris head on a Terminator? Why does that upset you guys so much? It's fine. It's fine. I definitely model for disadvantage, try every bit of accessory possible for looks. Oh yeah, I model for disadvantage as well, which is really funny considering I'm a tournament player, because like sometimes when I'm playing Andrew and I've got like my Librarian Dreadnought had like a giant spear, and also my firstborn Librarian Terminator armor had like a giant spear, and Andrew's like, you know you're modeling for disadvantage, and I was like, yeah, but I'm gonna beat you anyway, Andrew. Congrats on the game against the Dukari, says Pana. Thank you, Pana. What a fun game that was. Gravis helmet, or is it a captain helmet on Terminators? I mean, I guess you could put a Gravis helmet on Terminators. The problem is you don't get many of them. You don't get many of them spare in the Gravis kits I've got. I'm trying to think if I have any spare Gravis helmets. I think I don't really. But yeah, modeling for disadvantage. I mean, like, it's kind of rule of cool, right? Like you've decided that you want to make something look cooler, so you've modeled it to look cooler. It gives you a slight, ever so slight disadvantage on the tabletop. I don't know. I mean, like I said, do you know how this channel actually started? Was me just doing. I think one of the first things I did in this channel was like I was opening up the Indomitus box, and I was trying to customize. You know, like when they released those box sets, like the Indomitus box, like the Vanguard Marines, or like Dark Imperium. You know, there's very little chapter flavor in those boxes. You know, those boxes are designed to be able to be sold to every chapter, so as such, there's not much flavor in them at all, I guess. So that's how I started this channel, was adding flavor to some of those sort of whatever you want to call them, the generic Space Marine boxes. How do I feel about 3D printed models? I mean, I think it's fine as long as they're like someone's made the 3D models and they're not like stealing the intellectual property, right? I mean, sometimes you can't get the official models, so what are you supposed to do? You know, I think 3D printing is better than recasts, because recasts are where like some Chinese company are basically like, I think it's usually Chinese. If there's anyone that's in China and I've just said something that's bad, then I'm sorry. But I think it is typically Chinese companies. I guess they buy the original models and they must like make a cast of them so they can clone them. I think they're worse than 3D printing, because they're essentially like stealing the IP, and I think that's the thing that I think that's the thing that probably is going to hurt Games Workshop. Like, I don't think 3D printing is ever going to hurt them because people still want the official models. If you want to 3D print a model or something, then it's fine. I can't imagine many people are fielding like fully 3D printed armies. Heavy Intercessor Eradicator boxes have lots of Gravis heads. I only have one box of Heavy Intercessors, and the Eradicators I have are from... You know what they're from. They're from Indomitus, so I guess like those sort of kits don't come typically with a ton of spares, right? I bought Heavy Intercessors, and I honestly, since I've bought them, I actually bought that Kill Team box to get them. I don't know why I did that, because like ever since I bought them, I've literally never fielded them, and I've never really motivated myself to paint them. I don't know. I think it was almost rule of cool. Like, their stats look cool, but they are bloody expensive in terms of points, and I don't know. I just don't think I could justify 140 points on a troop squad. That, I mean, maybe if I wasn't running the Whirlwind, I could justify having them in the backfield, but because I am running the Whirlwind, it just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So, if anyone's been watching this monstrosity of painting Terminators for a long period of time, which I have been doing here, I guess this is what Evil Sun Scarlet looks like with an Agrax Earthshade wash. Now, I have lots to tidy up in here, like, because this wash is run all over the place, and it always does when you're washing. And I do probably spend probably spend too long tidying up washes and stuff like that afterwards, but. You know, if you compare this to Mephiston Red, do I have Mephiston Red here? Yeah. I guess this is a little bit brighter, I'd say, in places, but by not edge highlighting and recess washing it down, I guess you get a bit of like the dirtiness or the grim darkness into the models. So that's what I do. I don't use Mephiston Red for my Blood Angels, and people always ask why I use a different red. And the reason I use a different red was way back in 2nd edition when I first started playing. This red was called Blood Red. So Blood Red, I think, became Evil Sun Scarlet, and Mephiston Red was a new paint that they introduced. Is a Chapter Master on Outrider considering modeling for disadvantage? I mean, the Chapter Master needs to be on a smaller base than the Outrider has, so that kind of would be difficult. I would have a Wolverine head with a cigar for a Terminator and a double Lightning Claw Sergeant. Dark Ginger, I want to see that. That sounds cool. I'm actually surprised, you know, with all the Disney stuff that they do on Disney Plus, I'm surprised we haven't seen like a new Wolverine yet. Like, it's got to be coming, right? You got plenty of Gravis heads in the Heavy Intercessor box, however, I don't think they're really Blood Angels material or your troop choice, Sean. Do you know what? I mean, I didn't buy the Heavy Intercessor box. I bought the Kill Team that had like the 5 Heavy Intercessors, and I think it had Necrons in it because I traded some of the Necrons with a friend. John, you've seen him play on the channel a couple of times. Have you ever thought about making a 1,000-point list video? I'm a noob while learning. It's a struggle at times. Silent Manan, we've done... I did a 1,000-point list video a while back, but more recently, like in the last, like I'd say like probably in the last 2 or 3 months, I have a podcast channel, and it's called 3 Grots in a Vox. And we did episode 4 on the podcast, which is probably only like a couple of months old. We did a video on like how to start Blood Angels and like a first 1,000-point list, and 3 of us made up 3 of us made lists. YouTube, let me search 3 Grots getting started with Blood Angels. Yeah, look, I'll just link the video in the chat for you. You can watch it at your heart's content. if you guys didn't know that we had a podcast, then we obviously would love if anyone would like to consider subscribing onto the podcast. We do one video every 2 weeks, every Thursday night. So there was an episode that aired just like an hour before I went live, or a couple hours before I went live. But we did a video on getting started with Blood Angels. We've actually covered getting started with other armies on the podcast as well. So this channel is all about Blood Angels. We might mix in some Space Marine content here and there, but on the podcast we try and cover other stuff as well. So other armies, look at strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes we just talk shit on the podcast. But it's cool. My Volcon weapons are recast from Russia, I think. Forge was for not having the guns in stock for so many months. Offload the heavies. Do you know what? I'm not going to sell any of my models, even if I don't play them very often, because... Well, why? Because like, I'm just always building my collection. I mean, I have a decent sized collection of stuff that I guess is going to keep me busy for a long time. I made a video on my pile of shame last year, or maybe when I say last year now, it was probably 2020 actually. And in my pile of shame in 2020, I had 9,500 points. And since then, like, the amount of painting I do per week has dropped quite a lot, I guess, because I spend quite a lot of time working on YouTube videos. So I was gonna say, I mean, I must have painted like 2,000-3,000 points since then, but I'd be surprised if I haven't bought 2,000-3,000 points since then. So I think I probably still have 9,000 points of unpainted stuff. There's a lot of drawers of unpainted stuff. But I guess what it does mean is, does mean I've always got something to do, right? And it's quite... Like, I made a video a while back as well about, like, painting motivation and how I don't let motivation come into my painting. Because I think motivation is, like, fleeting, like... I guess a good example of that is, like, at the beginning of the year, everyone's like motivated to lose weight or motivated to get a new job or whatever, like at the beginning of the year, because they're unhappy, and January makes people be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be super motivated to lose weight this year, super motivated to do this. And then, a month after doing it, the motivation fades away and then it just stops. So, I kind of like just don't let motivation be a thing when you're doing the hobby. Just be like, right, this is my hobby time every week. Treat it like a job. I'm going to do 2 hours every Thursday night, 2 hours every Saturday night, and just do it. And don't let motivation sneak into the equation, because if you'll always be tired. You'll always maybe you'll maybe always struggle, but better to do it that way, I think. I started running 2 bite captains. One is Death Company bite captain with Quake bolts. If I go first, my Death Company captain puts my opponent on his toes. So hard being a big fan. Have you tried the Death Company captain with the Teeth of Terra? Because that's how I ran him this week, and I actually kind of like him with the Teeth of Terra. He can get a lot of attacks. He would have done more this week if I didn't realize that, oh my god, witches are so... Like, why the hell have witches got a 4-up invulnerable save in combat? They're a troop choice. Like, Dark Elder have, like, really good options. I don't know. What I wouldn't give for some of our Blood Angels troops to have a 4-up invulnerable save in combat. And, I mean, witches are, like, what? I actually don't know, but I think they were, like, 14 points to model, and they might have gone up a couple of points. But, like, for the cost of them, that still seems very, very good. No more Wolverine movies since the actor said no. I mean, all those actors say no, but eventually, Smithy, the paycheck comes around and it's good enough. It's like the James Bond movie, Never Say Never Again. How many things are getting rebooted and coming back at this point? Patrick Stewart is doing like Star Trek again, and he's like, I want to say Patrick Stewart's like 81 or something. Like, he was old when they did he was old when they did Star Trek The Next Generation, and that was like 1994 or something, like 30 years ago. So yeah, it seems like everything is on the table to come back. 9,000 point style Ric Flair. Woo! Yeah. My 1k list is a chaplain on a bike, a Sangori priest, and Mephiston. You get too many characters in a 1k list, dude. Run 2 characters max in 1k. 5 assault intercessors, 10 incursors, 5 death company, and a whirlwind. I would run 2 characters. I'd probably make your incursors into 2 5-man squads, so it can be battalion. And I guess like a dreadnought is actually really good in 1k points, I think. Like any dreadnought maybe, but a redemptor would be good, a contemptor would be good. I mean, you could sort of fit a Leviathan into a 1k list, but I think I'd rather put in a contemptor or a redemptor. BA Commander dropping some Zen knowledge in y'all. I honestly never thought of just ignoring whether I have motivation to paint or not. It's so simple that I'll make it part of my routine. Ben, it is so simple. And you know, the way that I actually came to that conclusion was about exercise, in that like, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I wasn't so thin and I wasn't so healthy, I guess. So I decided to start doing exercise, and I started to just do it every weekend. And the problem was, like, when I was doing it, it was motivational based. You know, it was like, oh, I need motivation to do exercise. And I was doing it with my wife, and it was almost like one of us would make up an excuse, like, oh, there's a bit shit weather today, so we won't do any exercise. And then the other person would almost be like, great, we're off the hook. We don't have to do the exercise because one person said. And what it ended up turning into is like we just never fucking did any exercise. So we just one day, my wife was like looking at this fitness thing that basically said the same thing, like just don't let motivation affect your decision to do exercise. And it actually cut out a lot of fights for us, because we used to fight about like, you know, you want to do exercise today? It's cold, it's wet, you know. And so one person would be ready to do exercise, and another person didn't want to, and yeah, just stupid, man. So yeah, just taking it out of the equation for painting as well, I find works really well. I probably get more painted than all my friends, and you know, some of them are really into their painting, but they let it, you know, they need to be in the mood for painting or whatever you want to call it, where it's just like, just paint, man. Good evening, Camille. Didn't know there's a new stream today. Every Thursday, or every second Thursday, basically, we film the Grots podcast the week before. So, like, I won't be live next Thursday, right? Because that'll be when we're filming the Grots podcast. But then the night the Grots podcast goes out, I'm always live, like, basically just after it ends. I mean, some nights, I guess, maybe I'm not... I want to say, I said like I'm always live. I suppose there's the odd Thursday that maybe I'm not live. But for the most part, the plan is to do the Grots podcast and then go live afterwards. Didn't the Wolverine actor quit because he got illness? No, I don't think so. I think because it's Hugh Jackman, I don't think he's ill at all. I think he did have I believe Hugh Jackman had like a cancer in his nose or something, because I remember seeing an interview about him that he had to have an operation for it or something. But no, I think he just quit because he'd done like 1 million Wolverine movies, right? Like there was like a lot of them, because there was like the 3 original X-Men movies, then he did like a Wolverine trilogy, then he did that one movie like Logan, so that was 7, and then wasn't he in like Days of Future Past as well? And maybe I'm familiar with the original X-Men movies. I haven't seen the new ones, like the first class ones, like maybe more than once. But he was definitely in Days of Future Past. So at that point, he would basically done like 9 Wolverine movies or something, or maybe it's only 8. But like at some point, you would probably want to move on, because 1, you might get typecast, and 2, like how many Wolverine movies do we need to get? You know. Librarian Dreadnought is nice in One King games, says Smithy. Yeah, that's very true. And yeah, I think they did kill Wolverine in the last movie as well. What's up after Horus? Hope the family's doing good. Yeah, the family are doing great. Thanks for asking, dude. Everything... I mean, apart from the 2 kids crying all the time, everything is glorious with the family. But I mean, that's what you get when you get 2 young kids. But yeah, for the most part, family is fine. Thank you for asking. I'm so happy to be putting some, like, washes on these Terminators. You have no idea. Feel like I've been painting forever. Anyone notice the Tempest of War deck comes with 66 cards? I did not notice I had 66 cards. Hugh Jackman wanted to do serious roles and was sick of people yelling Berserker at him. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I imagine so. I tell you what I am excited about. I am excited about the Obi-Wan show that they've got coming on Disney+. I saw today that the first evening they're going to give us like 2 episodes in a row. I much prefer that. I kind of hate this 1 episode a week nonsense, but I guess some people like that. You know, when you've got kids, sometimes you don't know when you're gonna have time to watch. So like you basically end up missing some weeks because you don't remember, and the kids are running riot. So I prefer getting a few episodes in a row. So it's cool that at least we're getting a couple to begin with Obi-Wan. Good evening, Foz. How you doing? So I have a video coming out tomorrow about how to deal with Codex creep. And there's a lot of Codex creep at the moment, I think, in 9th. It's certainly difficult to play against some of these new codexes. So hopefully tomorrow's video is going to have help for some people that are maybe finding Codex creep a little bit difficult or obnoxious or frustrating. Because I think last week one of the things that people said on the stream was like, we've noticed a few people that were typically like here on every stream haven't been, because they've been finding Blood Angels a little bit frustrating as of late. So hopefully I'll get some thoughts and ideas tomorrow on how we can deal with Codex creep, and I guess how I'm dealing with it as well, because I'm not going to lie and say like it's not been frustrating. I'm going to try and be... Tomorrow's video I've really tried to make positive, because I think I've done a couple of negative videos as of late. So it's hopefully quite a positive video on like what I think we can do to still have fun right now, and I guess maybe look towards being more competitive in the future. At least Netflix released the whole Witcher season at once compared to one a week from Disney Plus and the Book of Boba Fett, etc. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I concede them to release 1 episode a month, or sorry, 1 episode a week, right, is to like try and drag your subscription out. But like, I really don't think that works, because like, I could be wrong here. Obviously, I'm sure they have analytics on it, right? Like, I'm sure there's a good reason that they do it. They want people to come home on like a Friday night or whatever and load up Disney Plus and have people watching their content, right? And maybe their idea is that like if they just have 1 episode, maybe you'll watch something else and you'll get interested in something else or something like that. But you know, if you use the Netflix argument, where like Netflix typically give you the whole season of stuff to watch. Sometimes they don't, but like quite often they do. When they give you the whole season of something to watch, do you watch that whole season and then instantly unsubscribe or something? I mean, I don't. I mean, we pretty much never unsubscribe to Netflix, you know, so it's like, why, you know, to me, I don't think it makes any difference. If I wanted to be cheap, then wouldn't I just wait until all the episodes are released 8 weeks later and then like sign up then, you know, and just watch them all in a oneer anyway? Like, I don't know if I feel like the only releasing 1 episode a week really makes that much difference. The only other thing I can think, the reason they do it is to get people to talk about the episodes every week, right? Like, I guess there'll be a lot more discussion if you've only got one episode to watch, as opposed to if you just session through the whole series. So that to me makes sense, I guess. Elias says, absolutely love your content. Old painting streams have just become to my go-to listen while I run. Though I'm at old stream, you said you would live in Florida, no judgment, but Florida is a weird fever dream. Do you know what? It's I know Florida is a bit of a, it's like a bit of a, in some ways, like in America, like, I could be wrong here because obviously I'm not American, but like the running joke I think is that people go to Florida to retire, right? And Florida is a little bit, it's very chill there when I've been there, and also I love the weather. I mean, you try coming living in Scotland for 365 days a year, and you probably be like, yeah, okay, I'll move to Florida, because we had hailstones today. I mean, what is it? It's like, it's the 31st of March today. Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 like serious showers of hailstones. And Scotland's winter pretty much starts on like the 1st of November. So we have like, I honestly don't know why my ancestors chose to live here. We have like 6 months of winter every year, maybe even more. Yeah. So the reason I want to live in Florida is just because the weather here is weird as shit. You think Florida is weird, come to Scotland. You get hailstones, and I guess like there'll probably be hailstones again this week. So you get hailstones in May, in April. You might even get them in May. Camille says, I started to play narrative Blood Angels games because of the current meta. I'm going to wait until Space Marine Codex 2.0 drops. Even if I had to wait the whole year. I mean, that's fair enough, Camille. Watch tomorrow's video then. I get some ideas for you that might help you as well. Foz says it's still better than Amazon Prime with commercials. We don't get commercials on Amazon Prime here in the UK. Douglas says there's 50 people watching the stream and you only get 6 likes. I'm interested. What commercials do you get in Amazon Prime? How does that even work? Like in the middle of shows or before shows or what? Because we don't get any commercials on Prime here in the UK. It's certainly been frustrating. If you were to theorize about Space Marine Codex 2.0, what would you let me to see for Blood Angels? Or what would you like to see for Blood Angels? Sangreguard Death Mask having -1 to hit and range as his melee. Coming from California, weather is not a thing. You know what? I visited California in March for work, actually. I think it would have been March 2019 at this point. And we visited in March, and it was funny actually because we were going across the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm going to answer your question about Codex Space Marines in just two seconds, Chris. We're going across the Golden Gate Bridge, right? And there was like there's like a shop at the Golden Gate Bridge where they sell like hoodies and t-shirts and jackets and all that. And like I was just wearing a t-shirt because like, you know, the weather in San Francisco in March is like, it's like as good if not better than summer in Scotland. And the guy said to me, he was like, oh, are you going to go across the bridge? And I was like, yeah, I was planning on it. Why? And he's like, you might need to buy some more clothes. It's pretty cold out there on the bridge. I was like, huh, okay, maybe, we'll see. And like, no, I just ended up going onto the bridge in t-shirt and was like, that guy obviously didn't know I was from Scotland because the weather was like, it was kind of like, it was really nice, and we took like a ferry back across to the mainland, and it wasn't cold at all. 27 likes now. Thanks, guys. Thanks for smashing that like button. I do appreciate it. What I want to see in Space Marines Codex 2.0, I think we need to see a lot. Like, I'm not trying to say that to be greedy, but like, -1 to hit on Sangre Guard in range combat. I think Sangre Guard need an invulnerable save. Maybe their invulnerable save is only in melee combat. Like I could be okay with that, but you know, if witches for Dark Eldar have like what? what was it, like a 4-up in fun in combat? Yeah, Sangre Guard should have a 4-up in fun in combat. And also, what was the other thing I saw? Howling Banshee masks. Like, how good are Howling Banshee masks now, you know? And they also have stratagems that, like, make the Banshees even better or even more survivable. So, like, I'd like to see, like, in terms of Sangre Guard, I'd like to see a lot done to make them better. They almost need a stratagem that makes their weapons 3 damage as well, because into the meta that we're in, where we got this -1 damage, they're a very expensive unit, and if you run into -1 damage enemies, they don't do any damage. They literally do nothing. Like a 50% damage reduction on a unit, on like our strongest melee unit that's like 32 points per model is horrifically bad. And at this point, out of all the codexes that have been released recently, like, it feels like everything has -1 damage. Maybe Tau doesn't have -1 damage, but I mean, there's other problems with Tau in that, like, as a Blood Angels player, you can't get close enough to kill them without being shot off the table. But like, Custodes have a bunch of units that can be -1 damage, and also Custodes have ways of like transhumaning and turning off rerolls, so they're super difficult to deal with. Eldar have a bunch of -1 damage. Death Guard have a bunch of -1 damage. I mean, like, yeah, Sisters have half damage units like Morgan Val. Like, you need a whole squad of Sangre Guard to kill Morgan Val, and she's only got like about 8 wounds or something. The chat blocks the like button. What platform are you on that the chat blocks the like button? But yeah, no, I think, did anyone see the Auspic Tactics video on the Chaos Leaks? I did not, but feel free to tell us about some of the Chaos Leaks, John. Smithy has actually logged off Twitch and logged onto YouTube to hit the like button. That's dedication. Thanks, Smithy. 3d6 charge stratagem. That would be nice to have back. Good evening, Furian. How you doing? Blood Angels need a Primaris Dante with rules that make him OP. I mean, I'd settle for rules that make him decent, right? Like, he doesn't... I don't think Dante's good right now. I know that some people are hanging on to hope that Dante is a good character right now. I tend to think he's weak. I feel like my custom chapter master performs better than Dante ever could in many a game, I guess. So, yeah. If you're one of the people that is holding on hope for Dante to be good and strong, then, I mean, more power to you. But, like, I play against, like, really meta armies week on week, and every time I run Dante, he just dies. And I mean, there is a list that can do well with Dante basically being there to die, but it's so strange to me. Like, I don't run my characters to die, I guess. If they die, sure, but like, I don't like running them just to die, or just to be there to try and die. I would love to see the Sanguinar get the Avatar treatment. I think probably everybody would like to get the Sanguinar to get some good treatment. Is anyone actually playing the Sanguinar right now? What do you mean by Joe Johns? Oh right, you've got me on both screens or something. I get you. I just think Blood Angels need jump pack Primaris units. Not being able to play Transhuman on Sangre Guard Death Company makes them feel very weak. How do you do against psychic armies? Psychic armies are difficult to deal with, Justin. One of our best ways to deal with them is the Soul Ward and Warlord trait, really. And for a little while there, I was running Soul Warden on a character in pretty much every game to try and negate some of the power the psychic armies could do. Because I guess if you're Soul Warded characters in a good position, you essentially negate a third of their power, right? Because you shrug mortals on 5s, which can be pretty useful. All right, I've washed 2 models. That's literally taken about an hour maybe a little bit over. So I'm gonna do a little bit of touching up on these guys. I think Sanguinar becoming a beast is awesome. Yeah, Sanguinar should become a beast. Sadly, everyone will get jump pack Primaris units, not only Blood Angels. Yeah, I mean, Blood Angels need more than just jump pack Primaris units. I don't know if you guys saw my friend Gav on the channel. He hasn't played on the channel for a little while, but he is like, out of all my friends, he's the guy that wins GTs the most, I guess. And he actually just won a GT here where I live, like, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And like last time I spoke to him, he was like, John, you really need to play Black Templars. And I was like, yeah, but I do the Blood Angels channel and I love the Blood Angels. And he's like, you know, if you played Black Templars, kind of like, you know, you'd just be doing really well with them. Like, they're Marines in a really good state. And I was like, well, I mean, like, I don't know anything really about Black Templars. I didn't dive into their Codex when it came out. I wasn't really interested in them, so to speak. But I want to pick up their Codex in the next few weeks, and I want to pick it up so that I can see, like, what have they got that's making them so good. And I did read some of their stuff on Wikipedia, and like, they have some of the stuff that we lost. Like, we used to have that banner, Standard of Sacrifice, which everybody thought was awesome. Everybody loves Standard of Sacrifice. Standard of Sacrifice is arguably the reason that Sanguinary Guard were so strong, right? Because you could give the Sanguinary Guard that 5-up invulnerable save, not invulnerable save, sorry, 5-up feel no pain, and you could do that for like 1 CP. Well, Black Templars have like a litany that does the same thing. It's like a chaplain litany, and obviously you can make the chaplain like a, what is it, like the Wiserator, and then you'll be able to do your, you know, your litanies on 2s, or you'll be able to auto cast them with the 1 command point, and basically that just gives you like a 5-up feel no pain in a bubble around you. So I'm going to pick up the Black Templar Codex, and I'm going to be looking at that and trying to work out what I think Blood Angels are going to need to do to get on that sort of competitive level, because they're one of the highest pointing Space Marine armies right now, and like, I want to know why, and I want to know what they've got. But it does make me think that, like, one of the main things I think, because I guess we've kind of already got like a little preview of what might be some of the things that are coming, right? Because we got that Gravis captain with his, like, what was it called? Like, was it called Gravis Fighting Styles? Where like he got like extra attacks. So like, are we gonna get some sort of like rule for certain models that gives them extra attacks? I mean, that's going to be well and good, that's going to help a lot, but I also think Marines need some sort of improved survivability. And I guess again, it comes, if you look at Black Templars that are doing so well, they have like this, they have this mechanic called vows, and like before each battle they're allowed to like decide a vow, I guess, and like their vows, one of their vows is just like their whole army. I think it's their whole army. Like I said, I don't have the Codex, but I'm gonna get the Codex. I want to see what they've got. One of their vows is like their whole army gets this like 2-up transhuman and a 5-up feel no pain, like army wide. And I think this is, from my understanding, this is why Redemptor Dreadnoughts got nerfed in terms of like their points costs went up, right? Because like Black Templars were making really good use of like, well, you know, you can never wound Redemptor Dreadnoughts on 1s and 2s. Well, you can never wound on 1s. You can never wound on 2s. And they have a 5-up, like, inherent... They've got a 5-up inherent invulnerable save, right? And, like, that's really good, obviously. And Black Templar players were using it to do really well at tournaments. And this is... So... And this is possibly one of the big problems with Marines, is, like... Unless they point things per chapter, for example, right? Like if, like Redemptor's at 185 points for Blood Angels, totally fine, not overpowered at all. If anything, you know, their big weakness is no invulnerable save. So if you come up against an army like Tau that can do like a load of like D3 plus 3 damage, they'll blow it off the table very, very quickly. But then like in Black Templars, that's not the case because they get this 5-up shrug or invulnerable save. So like the only way I can see them fixing that is that if the points costs for models are per chapter as opposed to just all lumped into the Space Marine book. But I don't know if they're going to do that. Astroth is strong with the guard. When you contact GW, do they respond to you? No, they send me a standard email. I emailed them at the start of the month. I think I shared what I emailed them in the members room in Discord, how I said that Blood Angels have currently a 33% win rate in tournament play. We actually have the worst win rate of every army that's had their 9th edition book. And I basically said, like, when I emailed them, I said, like, is somebody looking at this, like, objectively? You know, like, is there something that can be done to throw us a bone or help us out? And I mean, that might be the problem. Like, everyone's holding on for, like, hey, Space Marine Codex 2.0. But we are supposed to be getting, like, you know, we're supposed to be doing this Warhammer quote-unquote seasons thing. There's supposed to be balance patches every few months. Like, surely a balance patch can address an army having a terrible win rate, right? Like, you know, and I've made suggestions. I've said, like, you know, Battle Predators, like, they need to be 20-30 points cheaper. Dreadnoughts could really use the core words back, and like the Firstborn, the Furioso and the Death Company Dreadnought, they could benefit a lot from being core. So it's a little bit of a confusing time, I guess. Like, are we just all hanging on Black Templar vow, uphold the Emperor, everything gets a 5++, can't be wounded at a 2, cannot benefit from cover, says Furian. Yes, and can't Black Templars also get like an army-wide feel no pain against mortals, or am I incorrect there? It's a lot for GW to recost each chapter. It would be a lot, but like, how else do they fix that? How else do they fix the fact that like Redemptors are fucking awesome for Black Templars, so they have to go up in points, but for like us, if they go up in points, they kind of push them into unusability, or is that? I don't think unusability is a word, but you know what I'm trying to say. They push them to be unusable. They push them to be too expensive for what you get for them, right? Blood Angels is worse than Gene Schooler Skulls. If the 40k stats website is to believe, we're the worst of all the armies that have their new 9th edition book in terms of tournament play, I guess. I remember the video. I was wondering if there's going to be 2.0 Codex. Yeah, I mean, we've heard a lot of rumors about the 2.0 Codex, and yeah, tanks being in the game again. I was thinking about this, like, how do they get Space Marine armor back into the game? Because that could actually help shake things up and help, you know, make Space Marines a force to be reckoned with again. But it would have to be something like on all pieces of armor. I'm not sure if it's something that we fix with points, or if it needs to be fixed with like a rule for Space Marine armor, right? Like if all Space Marine armor had like -1 damage or 5-up invulnerable save, is there a situation where there could be like a global rule applied to the armor to make the armor really good again? I'd like to think so. Storm Raven should be 200 points. The Black Templar get the whole army gets a 5+ against mortals. Yeah, so I mean, their chapter trait gives them a 5-up against all mortals. They can reroll all their charges. They can reroll all their wounds. They can take a vow that gives their entire army a 5-up invulnerable save, and also they can never be wounded on 2s. So anything that's like toughness, well, you know, I guess anything that's toughness like 8 or above essentially takes like a 16% damage reduction against Black Templars, because you can never wound on 2s, right? And 16% is just one more dice, one more number on the dice. Good evening, Reziel. How you doing? I mean, like, if you compare all that to, what do we get? +1 on charges and advances and +1 on the wound roll? I mean, that's kind of insane how much more power they're dishing out, I feel. So, you know, when you guys are asking, like, what do I think we need? Well, I don't think it's as much about what we need as, like, what should we actually get? Like, if you want to put us on the same power as Black Templars, which I imagine they do, right? Because they want all Marine factions to be viable or playable. We'd almost need, like, +2 to advance and charge, +1 to wound that can never be affected by, like, transhuman or anything like that, and maybe even like a third ability, like jump pack units all get a 5+ invulnerable save, you know, or any unit that moves over 10 inches in a turn, so it's like it benefits Blood Angels to be like a fast moving force. Any unit that moves over 10 or more inches in any turn just gets a 5+ invulnerable save or something. My money is on Space Marine Codex 2.0, army-wide transhuman for Marines as a way to make them more durable and competitive. I hope it's not Primaris Marines only. I really want to see the Firstborn still have value. And as Blood Angels, we really need a Firstborn, because, I mean, if we want to talk about, like, Primaris being limited in some ways, some of the problems with Primaris is, like, look at the Primaris captains. You know, there's like 4 or 5 Primaris captains. Not a single one can wield a Thunderhammer. Not a single one can wield a Combi Melta. Not a single one can wield an Infernal Pistol. Was it an Azus Zenbook you got from work? It was, yes. That's the laptop that I was using last night, Camille. I actually am really impressed with it. I'm not sure I think that the second monitor thing is that valuable, but the laptop itself seemed quiet. The battery seemed pretty good when I was just working on it, and you know, it seems like a pretty decent laptop. I mean, considering I didn't have to buy it and it was just bought for me to do my day job on, I'm very happy with it. I haven't had a new laptop from my day job in about... Do you know, I don't think they ever bought me a laptop. I don't think they ever bought me a laptop specifically for me before. There was laptops bought that were like sharing, but this is just my laptop. So, you know, I'm very happy with it. How about Grey Knights? Blood Angels need proper Primaris love for signature units. That means beneficial rules to sell boxes. I mean, I don't have any problem buying models. I mean, I'm sure, you know, I can't just buy every single new model that comes out, right? Like, I got a family, I got commitments and stuff like that. But if there was models in the range that are like solid Primaris models, let's say with like solid weapon options, because one of the things that we typically see with Primaris is lack of weapon options. So if there were solid Primaris options in the range with good weapon options, even if I couldn't afford to buy them right now, I would feel much happier than I do, because, you know, you'd have the option to, you know, you'd be like, right, next month, you know, I need to put some money away so I can buy these guys, and then I'll be a bit more competitive. Whereas, like, right now, those options don't really exist. You know, like, the last thing I bought was like more Sanguinary Guard, and honestly, I think it was kind of a mistake, because I bought them... I'm trying to think when I bought them. I think I bought them maybe just before Christmas. Yeah, I think it might have been just before Christmas. That's why I've got this one on my desk to make the painting video. But honestly, I think it was kind of a mistake, because I don't think Sanguinary Guard are that viable right now anymore. Hence painting Terminators, right? Hence painting Terminators for 84 sessions, apparently someone said when they joined the stream tonight. Jackass. None of them get hammers. I mean, you can put like one Thunderhammer on the Sergeant or something like that for the Primaris, but when you compare like a squad of Vanguard veterans, as many hammers as you want, Terminators, as many hammers as you want, Death Company, as many hammers as you want, and then it's like you can have one Thunderhammer. I don't understand it. And also, they charge you more points. A Thunderhammer on the standard stuff is all cheap. Like Terminator's Thunderhammers are like 10, Vanguard veterans it's like 12. Death Company is like 15, and then they charge you 20 on like the Primaris ones. Why? Just give us a stratagem that can let us advance and charge, says Rose Riot. How good would that be? I mean, it feels like we were playing Dark Eldar. Like they've got their whole army inside raiders. They all pop out the raiders. And then it seems like half of them can advance and charge. And they have good movement as well. I think they got movement 8. So, like, at that point, they may as well just be wearing jump packs. It's 8 plus a D6 is no different than the 12 inches that we get. Feels like, anyway. The Asus Zenbook does seem it seems expensive for the hardware that's inside. I guess it's because it's got that gimmick of extra screens, Camille. I have the smallest one, the 14-inch one, and I honestly thought it was expensive, but the 15-inch one is like $1,000 more. And I was like, oh my god. I mean, I have to carry it back and forth to work, so I'm glad they bought me the smaller one, but like the bigger one, like, wow, it seems so expensive. Well, John, I suppose we may have something to say on the Primaris topic soon. We might have, Rezio. We might have. That's the dream, isn't it? The Primaris Death Company not having weapon options insane. Yeah, especially considering they don't have jump packs either. Like, I just don't know how anyone was really that excited about them when it's like the two main things that we do with Death Company they can't do. And it was alright of them to... I mean, if we go back even further, at one point the Primaris Death Company couldn't even take combat weapons, right? Like, originally when they released them, they were just intercessors with, like, bolt rifles. Like, how far off the pulse is that? Like, did it... I don't know why it's taken them so long to make a Primaris jump pack, right? But I understand why some people are frustrated about it. I totally understand it. We need more melee weapons to be functional than claws and hammers. That's probably a good point. Here's a question. What if Thunderhammers didn't have -1 to hit on, like, Terminators or something? That would help as well, right? I always thought it was a bit silly that they had -1 to hit on Terminators. Like, I get it maybe on, like, Death Company or, like, Vanguard Veterans, but, I mean, Terminator armor is literally called Tactical Dreadnought Armor, right? Maybe on the Tactical Dreadnought armor, we don't need -1 to hit on the Thunderhammer. I mean, these guys don't look like they're struggling to carry these Thunderhammers, do they? I mean, if anything, he just looks like he's ready to baseball the shit out of this. Roserot says, the box is literally half a box of intercessors with an upgrade pack in it. What the fuck is that? Are you talking about the Combat Patrol box, Rose? Do you think upgrading Space Marine vehicles could make us more competitive? I mean, it could make us hugely more competitive if they do it right. I mean, look at like, you know, they've got the Necron transports where they can only be wounded on rolls of 4 above. Those transports are like, they hang around, they're super difficult to kill. But if they give the Space Marine vehicles like some sort of transhuman, yeah, I mean, that could be huge, right? In terms of like bringing us into the meta. It could basically make, if Space Marine vehicles had like a 4-up transhuman, they could basically make every single vehicle good again with one rule like that. And I actually don't even know if any of them would need to change in points, because right now a lot of them are trash. Maybe the I was going to say the Repulsor or like Land Raider might need to change a tiny bit if you did that, but for the most part, I think it would just be fine. They want Primaris to be like modern mechanized infantry. I do remember when Power Fists had a lower initiative value, so it meant you attacked later in combat if you were using a Power Fist. I do remember that, Smith. I mean, I'm glad that they did away with those initiative rules, because they made close combat very complicated in some places, and also it meant like stuff like Gene Stealers were just a fucking nightmare because they had like the highest initiative in the game. So it just meant like anytime you got into combat with Gene Stealers, you just knew you were losing models. Did you see Jamie Paris was testing out Terminators as well? He came to a conclusion. No, I didn't. But I mean, you've been an advocate against Terminators like Rezio, right? If someone else has come to a conclusion, has your view changed, or are you still on board with like you don't really like them? Sanguinary Guard should have a rule that allows them to do a mortal and a 5+ to wound. I mean, they either need something. Sanguinary Guard just needs something that gives them more damage now, and probably more survivability. And it's kind of criminal that they're at 32 points per model, because I don't think they're worth 32 points per model at all. There's just too many things that counter them. Just far too many. And when they start dying at 32 points per model and they don't have any sort of reliable save, it's just so painful. My Sanguinary Guard, I mean, I run them every game. And I try and like hide them for like the whole game, and then maybe like make 1 or 2 charges, but like it's not typically, I guess it's not like a typically fun way to play them. Ghost Arcs are 145 points and have no firepower. Yeah, I mean, Necrons have their own problems, David. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, Necrons apparently have a 10% better win rate than us now. If they soup up vehicles, then Blade Guard get better. Death Company Intercessors would be able to get across the table. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see something, right? We're going to see some sort of improvements. I don't know what the improvements are going to be, but we're going to see some. You don't think Terminators fix any sort of competitive problems? I mean, I'm the first person to say I don't like how slow Terminators are, and I think that's a huge weakness that they have. And also, I don't like deep strike charges for the Terminators, but like right now, again, sometimes it feels like I can't. Sometimes it feels like against Tau or Custodes, it feels like it's very difficult to start your army on the board. Like, you potentially can lose some of your most valuable stuff in their first turn, and sometimes that can cost you the game almost. So that's why I throw Terminators in from Strategic Reserve, or I guess I throw them in from Death from Above Teleport Strike, but it's not always great, is it? I'm going to start running Standing Regard as a counter assault rather than aggressive hammer. Probably run them in a squad of 5, 6, or 7. I mean, I've been running them as a counter assault now for like a long time. I think that's the best way to play them because I don't think they are an aggressive hammer. If you want an aggressive hammer, it needs to be like Vanguard veterans with hammers, or I mean, I guess you can do it to a certain extent with Terminator, with Death Company, but also you can kind of do it with Terminators. I also maybe think the reason Terminators are working for some people is because, like, not everybody's got experience playing against Terminators. They're not... I guess they just haven't been front and center in the meta ever, or for years, I guess. Because at one point, Terminators, like, literally just had 1 wound, right? I think maybe at the beginning of 8th, they got 2 wounds. I think it was only 9th edition that they actually gave Terminators 3 wounds, right? Just over half my games are lost on deep strike charges. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with deep strike charges, man. I mean, like, ideally, we want to be in a place where we don't have to rely on deep strike charges. The only reason that I rely on deep strike charges quite often in my games right now is because I don't think we're strong enough to not rely on them. So at that point, you're literally putting your hand, or you're literally putting the game in the hand of God and saying, like, hey, make me a deep strike charge because I don't know if I can win this game without it. I mean, I'd much rather, like, the way that I'd much rather do it would be like have a Land Raider full of stuff that can drive forward 8 to 10 inches on turn 1 and just sit there and absorb a lot of firepower, and then all your models can come flying out the Land Raider and make charges and stuff like that. But like with a lack of invulnerable save, I don't know if I feel comfortable trying to do that with a Land Raider. I think, and also the Land Raider's weapons are, you know, all the other factions have like nice stuff, like fancy D3+3 nonsense, whereas our Land Raider's still like the good old D6 damage on the las cannons, which is super swingy. I sort of gave up on las cannons probably like a year ago. I really don't think they're viable at all. I mean, multi-meltas are viable because you can get within half range, and sometimes they can be pretty tasty, but like las cannons, I just don't like them on just about anything. And I think that's maybe I just don't like weapons that have such a big swing. I mean, if in a way, if you look at like a Demolisher cannon, for example, on like a Vindicator, like we don't see any Vindicators run in competitive lists, right? Because they're just too swingy. Well, if anything, the Vindicator head Demolisher cannon is better than a las cannon, right? So, yeah, las cannons to me just don't... They're just not been good for a long while. Daniel says Terminators are winning me games, at least running a unit of 7 now. Yeah, I mean, Terminators are helping me out. They've been helping me out more than my Blade Guard veterans. And I mean, I painted the Blade Guard veterans first, so I definitely preferred the style of the Blade Guard veterans, you know, walking across the board, trying to get up there, make a turn, probably a turn 2 charge or something, not having to risk that deep strike charge. So I probably did prefer the Blade Guard in terms of like the raw strategy of using them, but they just keep dying on me. 40k Warrior Tuber, when GW has a new Terminator box to sell, I'm sure we will see them buffed. One of the rumors I heard is that there's going to be Primaris Terminators. I mean, if they were basically wearing Terminator armor and they had like toughness 5, I mean, that's another thing. Would that fix Marines? You know, like Orcs went up to toughness 5. Who else went up to toughness 5? A lot of factions got +1 to toughness, right? I'm trying to think. One of the other. I mean, crisis suits for Tau and all that. They went to toughness 5, or they went up in toughness. I was going to say something else. I'm sure something else iconic went up toughness 5. I can't think what it is right now. Someone's going to tell me in the chat. What else went to toughness 5 this edition? Well, I mean, Wraith Knights for Eldar went from toughness 5 to toughness 6, to be honest. Wraith Blades, sorry. Would just giving Marines across the board +1 toughness, or giving all Primaris Marines +1 toughness? I mean, that's probably what I could see them doing, is like +1 toughness to all the Primaris Marines to expedite the shift towards Primaris. But if they do that, like, we still really need some we still really need something that helps our jump pack units, right? Reject dreadnoughts, embrace infantry. I like my dreadnoughts. I'm a little bit sad that they basically didn't need to put the Redemptors up in points. They just, I mean, maybe, you know, when I said earlier, maybe certain units need points per, maybe that would be a better way to do it. It would just be like, we know Redemptors are super good on Black Templars because they get the built-in transhuman and invulnerable save. Therefore, they should just be 10 more points expensive just for Black Templars. We shouldn't fuck with all the other chapters. They can still have them at the cost that they were. Because basically what happens is we get hit with they try and balance them for Black Templars, but in turn what happens is like a core unit that we were really relying on, like the Redemptor Dreadnought, and in previous balance patches it was also like the Lightning Claw Storm Shield Vanguard Vet. He went up in points as well, didn't he? Because he was like 28 points per model, I think, and he went up to 30. A Mastodon would do what you describe, although 800 points is crazy. Yeah, and I mean, you'd need to fit the Mastodon on the table, Foz, which is also possibly a bigger challenge than actually buying it. How big is a Mastodon compared to like a Land Raider? I imagine it's quite a bit bigger, right? I've never actually seen a Mastodon in the flesh. There was a rumour that this new Horus Heresy box set that's coming out includes a Mastodon, a plastic one, all that, but I don't know. Or no, sorry, it was a Mastodon, it was a plastic Spartan, but that's also a really big troop transport. Like, you're talking like 20 infantry, I think, in the Spartan. Any tips against Space Wolves? I mean, sure. I mean, watch out for their Thunder Cavalry, because they are really nasty. They do a lot of damage. Also, watch out for like a lot of like Dreadnoughts, I imagine. The Dreadnoughts with the Storm Shields are very, they're very good. They got heroic interventions, I think, maybe like 6 inches they can get heroic interventions. And they're really difficult to take down because it's essentially a Dreadnought with a Storm Shield. I don't think it's called a Storm Shield, it's called like a Thunder Shield. But Space Wolves are nasty and close as well. You want to try and use your speed to dictate the charges if you can. If he doesn't have the cavalry, then you might not have too many problems with them. I think the cavalry and the Dreadnoughts are the strongest things they have right now. I haven't played Space Wolves in a little while. And I do have a friend that's in like a chat group that plays Space Wolves, and I actually asked him earlier. I was like, "Hey, do you want to come play Space Wolves on the channel?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm so busy. And I was like, "Dude, everybody's busy, right? Like, everyone's got a busy life." And I said to him, "Do I have to buy you a model to come and play on the channel?" And he sort of sent me a smiley and laughed. And then he said something like, when like I have to buy him a model, he was like, she has to be like blonde hair or blue eyes or something, you know, like he meant like a supermodel. And I was like, yeah, dude, that, like, come on. I sent him a chicken gif after that because I think he's just being chicken. But yeah, I haven't played Space Wolves in a while. Last time I played them, I did beat them, and it was that guy. And the things that stood out to me were the cavalry and the shields, and I think they also have some neat stuff with their Terminators where they can like as models die in their squads, they're like the remaining models can become like lone wolves and become stronger. So that's something to look out as well. If you're going to start killing them, you might actually want to be killing the whole squads, because leaving one model alive can then kind of come back to bite you in the ass. Space Wolves have so many storm shields yet. They hit harder than Blood Angels and they're slower. The heroic invention is army wide. So it's an army wide 6-inch heroic invention. So all those dreadnoughts, you need to really watch out for that. And those and the storm shields on the dreadnoughts really helps make them survive. I'd love to have storm shields on our oh yeah, they've got a couple of ways of making you fight last as well. So Foz needs to get his kids some dinner. Okay, go enjoy that, Foz. Thanks for hanging out. PCSs are still insane. PCSs, what's a PCS? Oh, Plague Burst Crawlers. Yeah, Plague Burst Crawlers are, I mean, they're not Space Wolves, but they're really, I think for the points cost, I think Plague Burst Crawlers are actually really legitly strong for their points cost. I was really surprised that they made them cheaper considering how bad our armor stacks up against them. From the few games I've watched of Space Wolves, it's their characters are buffed to high hell and every other unit's just run in front to bullet sponge. I mean, they can do some good damage with those other units, I think. But the characters, yeah, I'm sure, like Ragnar gets a lot of attacks if you're up against him. And yeah, I guess the heroic invention is definitely something to watch out for. I knew that the dreadnoughts could do it, I didn't realize it was army-wide. But yeah, you could easily be up against like 6 dreadnoughts with storm shields, and each one is a nightmare to take down, and they're really nasty in combat, and there'll be so many of them. And Blood Angels lack, you know, we tend to lack firepower, I guess, because we point towards melee. So if you're not able to bring the dreadnoughts down in shooting, which is unlikely, you know, they'll be on top of you, they'll be in your lines. They'll be hurting you a lot, so you have to be ready for that, I guess. How are these guys looking on camera? Like, they finally starting to get a little bit of shading on them. Obviously, I'm just tidying up where some of that washes sort of ran a little bit. It can be quite difficult to do washes, but are these guys looking decent? It looks very yellow on my screen, but I'm running that thing that makes it that makes my monitors yellow because my eyes are tired. They're always fucking tired. Any idea when the Space Marine Codex is coming? No idea. We hope soon, but nobody knows. Your guess is as good as mine. Ben says I like them because they're super clean. I appreciate that. Thanks, Ben. Battle ready and clean is sort of how I do mine. I don't really do like battle damage onto the models or anything like that. Try and be like quite precise and quite clean. Try and put a little bit of grime in there with the washing, but for the most part, it's sort of like a clean style I have. Definitely tabletop ready on these Terminators. Nice, yeah. Maybe like someone said it would be taking me 84 sessions to get to here, so maybe like 20 more sessions and it'll be tabletop ready. No, I joke. I'm actually going to be pretty close to putting... I'm actually going to put some texture paint on this guy right here in a second, I think. Because typically after I've done the texture paint, I'll come back and... My painting tends to be a lot of back and forth. A lot of tidying up and stuff, I guess. But no, I'm pretty pleased with these Terminators. I don't know when I'm going to do another squad. I've got 2 more squads of Assault Terminators to do, but I couldn't bring myself to do like a 10-man batch on them. And I've got those other Terminators like half done. So, yeah, it's what is it, 10 to midnight. I got a little bit of time. I'll be surprised if we get them reboot before September. Says Reziel IXR says, thanks for the reply. Space Wolves have keyword Wolfguard. They can use any weapons in Terminator or Blade Guard squads. Bjorn is very, very strong. Every unit is very cheap in points. I can't imagine they're that much... Oh, excuse me. I can't imagine they're much cheaper in points than Blood Angels, right? But I do know that they are a strong faction, and I have had problems against them. Alright, I need a knackered brush for this. Let me see if I've got one. This one looks reasonably knackered. Okay. Thunderwolf Cavalry really expensive. They don't trade effectively at all. I thought they came down in points, so are they still too expensive? I'm sure in that last balance update they came down like 5 points per model. I thought they were quite good. But maybe you're right, maybe they don't trade enough for the cost. But you know, sometimes when you take something down like 5 points and you have like 5 points is quite a lot, you know, like if you've got a squad of 8 of them or something, down 40 points. What is the maximum size of a Thunderwolf Cavalry squad? Is it 6 or something? Or can they go as high? I feel like it's 3 to 6, but again, I haven't played Space Wolves much at all this edition. Just like 1 or 2 games. That's why I was trying to get them on the channel again, because it's been a while. It's always good to vary your opponents so that like if you do come up against different opponents at tournaments and stuff, you've got... You know, you've played a lot of different armies, I feel like. I'm sure they dropped. Do I play any other tabletop games? Yeah, heaps, man. But not as much as I would like in the last, like, I guess... 2 years because of kids and COVID. I'm sure you can see behind me I've got a huge set of Warhammer stuff here, and up here I was going to say, which way does that camera look? What is up to that other side? I have like Imperial Assault, which is like a Star Wars... It's not an RPG. Maybe it is an RPG. Yeah, I mean, it's not like role-playing, but it's like... Imperial Assault is like each player controls one member of the Rebel Alliance, but not like Luke Skywalker or something, or, you know, like an unnamed... It's a bit like Rogue One. If you've seen that Rogue One movie, you're just like a... You could be anything from like a Padawan sort of Jedi to... like a bounty hunter or whatnot, and you're going through missions like to disrupt the Empire. I think it's probably actually based around the time of episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, because I think the first mission, the tutorial mission, is like the base on Yavin. Is it Yavin? Right after you've destroyed the Death Star? The first Death Star? So I've got Imperial Assault. I love that game. I honestly haven't played it as much as I've wanted to because of COVID and stuff, and having kids, but I also have like 2 armies for Star Wars Legion, and I think at some point I may actually have a game or 2 of Star Wars Legion on the channel. I might do it on like a Saturday night or something, and just like people can crack open a beer and enjoy some Star Wars Legion if they want to. I like Star Wars Legion. It's a fun, and essentially it's a lot like 40k, only the turns are a little bit different in that you move one unit at a time. So like you would move 1 squad of troops, then I would move 1 squad of troops, vice versa, and the games are a little bit smaller because of that. Like I think it's an 800 point game, and I think the costs are probably similar to 40k. So like a character is like 150 points, and a squad of troops is probably like 100 points, and a vehicle is probably like 200. So it's a much smaller game, probably the equivalent of like a 1,000 point 40k game, but it's also really fun. And then I have a bunch of other board games, tabletop board games that I play, like an absolute bunch. The shelves behind me are covered in them. I don't know if I'm ever doing anything with any of them on the channel, but I do play a bunch of other ones. I mean, I could give recommendations, but yeah, I'm not really fussed about making content for them, I guess. I'm quite interested in the Horus Heresy game. I mean, I'm interested in buying the box that has the new Marines or the new tank or whatever all that they're bringing out, right? I know some people on the channel said, or some people that watch were like interested to know if I was going to be playing Horus Heresy. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm not ruling it out. I'm not kind of making it priority yet, but I mean, if we buy the starter box, then I guess there would always be the option to play a game in the future. But I mean, I'm not really going to mess with the streaming schedule, right? Like Monday nights is typically always going to be 40k. If I was going to do something else, it would be like another night, I guess. I mean, you're welcome to request stuff, and I mean, we can see if it can work on another night or something. You would love X-Wing. Do you know what? I've got the starter set for X-Wing. I just never... I like the fact that the X-Wing models are painted as well, but yeah, no, I've just never... I've never got into the space combat games so much as like the ground-based games. I think one of the reasons that I liked Star Wars Legion was the painting aspect of it, right? Like, I thought it was really fun painting the stormtroopers. And I actually had quite a bit of fun painting the rebels as well, because like you kind of do sort of capes from like Endor and stuff. But you know, like Star Wars, I basically have 3 IPs that I'm interested in, and they are Warhammer, Star Wars, and D&D, and to a certain extent Stargate, but Stargate's kind of a dead franchise. I used to love Stargate SG-1. The D&D, I don't really play D&D anymore ever, but I do occasionally read some D&D novels, and again, it's super rare for me to read D&D now. Pretty much only read Star Wars and Warhammer. But for me, I prefer sort of old Star Wars, as in like not the 3rd trilogy, I guess. What do you think about Land Raider Excelsior? Useful as 215 points and as the HQ. Found him at Battlescribe. I think you can only buy him at Forge World, in like the actual Warhammer World shop. I actually have no knowledge of the Excelsior. But I think if I was going to build a Land Raider, it would have to be the Proteus, because it's the one that's in stock on Forge World typically, and it's also got an invulnerable save, and I think that's the thing that Land Raiders need the most. Like, if you're going to put all of your troops inside a Land Raider that has no invulnerable save, like, I just don't feel comfortable in that at all. So that's why I like the Proteus. If I was going to build a Land Raider, it would be the Proteus, because it's got that built-in invulnerable save. It still has a decent troop capacity, and it's actually not that much more expensive. I think you pay like 15 points extra for the Proteus. So 15 points for a 5-up save on like a really expensive vehicle that you need to survive for 15 points, I'm actually kind of fine with. Oh, I like Star Trek as well, but see, I prefer the old Star Trek. Like, the new Star Trek is much more... I don't know if it's Star Trek anymore, is it? It's like action Star Trek. It's not Star Trek that like it used to be. I like Shatner and Nimoy on Star Trek. The Expanse. Do you know what? I've enjoyed a few seasons of Expanse. I'm not totally caught up, but from what I have watched on The Expanse, I probably need to get caught up. I've enjoyed it for sure. God, sometimes I hate working with these texture paints, you know that? Alright, I just got a couple more minutes. It's just hitting midnight. I got work in the morning, so I gotta get up just after 7. So if you got any last questions, hit me up now. If not, I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. And if not, we'll be back on Saturday night. Achilles is the GOAT. The Achilles hasn't been in stock now, Rezio, for like 2 years. It hasn't been in stock since the beginning of 9th edition. I do think it is the best Land Raider, but it's never in stock, so the Proteus has to be... Because the Proteus is actually occasionally in stock, then it has to become the best, I guess. The new Halo series. Do you know what? I like Battlestar Galactica as well, actually, but again, they stopped that, and I guess I'm really surprised they haven't brought that back, because I thought that was really popular, actually. The reboot series was... I really liked the reboot series. The ending was kind of weird, but yeah, so I guess I'm stuck in my ways with my Star Wars and Warhammer books, but you can buy the 3D parts for any Land Raider that you want. I mean, you could probably buy the Achilles parts, yeah. Or you could 3D print them, I guess, and make a conversion. Yeah, I mean, go for it. But yeah, the Achilles is a good Land Raider. It's got like 4 multi-metas on it. That's what makes it good. Don't say that. Now you're going to make me want an Achilles. Does the Achilles have an invulnerable save built in? Because I was going to say, if it doesn't, does that just mean for Black Templars it's completely fucking awesome? I saw an Achilles on eBay ages ago when it was out of stock on Forge World, right? And I actually emailed Forge World and said to them, like, hey, you know, are you getting Achilles on stock? And they were like, I can't remember exactly what they said, but I think they pretty much said, like, there's no imminent plans to bring back the Achilles, right? And I sent the guy a link, or I sent them a link to like one that was going on eBay for like £600. I was like, well, you know, they're going on eBay for like £600, right? So there's definitely demand for them. But I guess that's the sort of stock rotation stuff that they talk about on Warhammer, that certain things aren't in stock at certain points, I guess. Or certain things go, what do they call it? Like rotating stock or something? I'm not super familiar with it. I don't love it that sometimes the thing that you want is not available anymore. They could just make it like made to order, I suppose, and if it took a while to get it, you know, you buy a new computer, there's not like, oh, you know, the computer's out of stock, but we'll make you one in like a month's time. That would be better, in my opinion. I'm putting together some incursors right now. Should I stick with just 5 or maybe 5 infiltrators, or do I do all incursors? I'd probably recommend you do 5 of both. We've talked a lot about infiltrators maybe becoming much more prominent or valuable as this edition moves on and possibly into the future. I mean, you can't go wrong with just going with 10 incursors. I mean, I've got 30 incursors. Not 30. I've got 3 squads of 5 incursors, and I've got 2 squads of infiltrators. So I guess I got 5 squads of full boss units. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with having 10 incursors, but you might just need to buy, even if you do 5 and 5, you might just need to buy another box of them. They're the best troop choices that we can field. So, you know, you can't really go wrong. I still wish they make the Lucius pattern Warhound Titan. Yeah, there is a Warhound Titan in the office where I play Warhammer, but I can't see why you would ever need it. Chris is making a Blood Angels themed night. How cool do you think this is? I wanted more heavy support, and the best way to add 3k points is a night themed. Chris, there's a custom website called Legio Models. So I think it's Legion without an N, and they make a custom night kit. Let me show you this real quick, and then I'm going to head to bed. So Legio Models, I'll put it. I'll move the chat. Hold on. Yeah, Legio Models, right? And they make custom kits for everything. And there's one that is for Blood Angels. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like here you go, Sanguinary Night. And you can just buy this. I mean, it's going to cost you a bit, because this alone costs 75 quid on top of the cost of your night. But I guess this is what it makes. Oh, this might be, that looks kind of Dark Angels to me, actually. Oh, but this is definitely Blood Angels. This is Blood Angels. And the gauntlet is Blood Angels, right? Interesting. Legio Models. I thought about getting one of these. I think they're in Russia, right? I think they're from Russia, so there might be some problems getting orders right now and stuff because of the war. I honestly don't know, but I did see that and think that could be pretty cool. I like the Knight Crusader. I think it's the battle cannon it's got. I really like the profile, or the looks of the profile in the battle cannon. I mean, the other option is if you want to get something huge, get an Astraeus. I think an Astraeus is very cool right now. I think it's actually useful. Like, it's a good model. I like the Astraeus in terms of like including it in your army. I don't think it's going to cost you any CP. Maybe I thought to myself earlier in the year, maybe I'll get an Astraeus. But yeah, thanks so much for watching tonight, guys. I hope you did enjoy the stream. The Terminators aren't a million miles from getting done. I'm reckoning maybe like 3 or 4 more streams and we might be close to the end of these Terminators. And then we'll get cracked into something else. Okay. But yeah, I guess tomorrow I've got a video coming out on Codex Creep. You can catch that about 1 PM UK time, so just over 12 hours from now. If you do see it and you enjoy it, let me know. And if not, I'll be back here on Saturday night for some more painting, Sunday night for Armyless show, and then if we have a live game on Monday, I will let you know. I'm trying to get an opponent, so if I get an opponent, I'll let you guys know. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. Thanks again for being here. By the blood are we made strong. Peace.